Topic name is morphology of flowering plants. So what is meant by morphology? The study of forms and features of plant organs like root, stem, leaf are called morphology. Morphology means the external characters of plant organs are called morphology. Start with root. So what is meant by root? The part of the plant body present below the soil is called root. It is developed from radicals. So simple, what is meant by root? The part of the plant body present below the soil is called root. It is developed from radicals. So this root is called what we call as primary roots. So this root straightly grown into the soil. Such roots are called what we call as primary roots. Again small roots are called, these roots are called secondary roots. So secondary roots arise from the primary roots. Again very small roots are formed. Called as tertiary roots. So tertiary roots are formed from the secondary roots. Secondary roots are formed from the primary roots. Primary roots arise from the radicals. So simple. So what is meant by morphology? The study of external characters of plant organs like root, stem, leaf, fruit, etc. are called morphology. So what is meant by root? The part of the plant body present below the soil is called root. It is developed from radicals. So this root is called as primary root. These root directly grown into the soil. Such root are called primary roots. Again very small roots are formed. What we call as secondary roots. So secondary roots are formed from the primary roots. Again very small roots are formed called as tertiary roots. So simple. Tertiary roots are formed from the secondary roots. Secondary roots are formed from the primary roots. Primary roots arise from the radicals. So different types of, so what are the functions of roots? So roots are absorption of water and minerals. So what are the functions of root? Absorption of water and minerals, providing anchoring, and what we call as synthesis of plant growth regulator hormones are there. So what are the functions of the root is there? Absorption of water and minerals. Second point is providing anchorage. Again synthesis of plant growth regulators. So these are the functions of root. So what is meant by root? Different types of root systems are there. What we call as taproot system, fibrous root system, adventitious root system. So different types of root systems are there. So what we first one is taproot system, second one is fibrous root system, third one is adventitious root system. So tap roots are commonly in dicot plant. Which plants? Dicot plants. So tap roots are available commonly in dicot plants. So fibrous roots are commonly in monocot plants. So adventitious roots occurs both in dicot and monocot plants. So simples are there. Types of root systems. Which types are there? First one is taproot system, second one is fibrous root system, third one is adventitious root system. So taproot systems are commonly in dicot plants, fibrous roots are commonly in monocot plants, adventitious roots occurs in both dicot and monocot plants. So first one is taproot system. In these taproot systems, so primary roots are formed from the radicals. So which root system? In the taproot system, primary roots formed from the radical. For examples, mustard. So what are the examples of mustard? Taproot's example is mustard. In this taproot system, the primary roots are formed from the radical. Example is mustard. Second one is what we call as fibrous root systems. So in monocot plants, primary root is very short. In monocot plants, primary root is very short. So large number of thin thread-like branches roots are developed from the base on the stem. So base on the stem are called what we call as fibrous root systems. So fibrous roots are commonly in monocot plants. In monocot plants, primary root is very short. Large number of thin thread-like branches roots develop from the base on the stem. Such roots are called what we call as fibrous roots. So fibrous roots are commonly in which plants are there? Wheat and rice. So last one is adventitious roots. So roots arising from the any part of the plant. So roots arising from the any part of the plant other than radical, means except radicals. So roots arising from the roots developed from the any part of the plants. Such root system is known as what we call as adventitious root system. Example is grass, Banyan, Monstera. So three types of root systems are available. First one is taproot system, second one is fibrous root system, third one is adventitious root system. So taproots are commonly in dicot plants, fibrous roots are commonly in monocot plants, adventitious roots occurs in both dicot and monocot plants. So taproot systems are available. Example is which plants are there? Mustard. Fibrous roots, example is wheat and rice. Adventitious roots, example is some banyan tree, monstera, grass are there. So in the taproot systems, the primary roots are formed from the radicals. So second one is what we call as fibrous root system. Fibrous root systems are commonly in monocot plants. So in monocot plants, so primary root is short lived. So primary root is very short. So large number of thin thread-like branches roots are developed from the base on the stem. Such root system is known as what we call as fibrous root system. The last one is adventitious root system. So what is meant by adventitious root system? Roots arising from the roots are developed from the any part of the plant other than radical, means except radical. Roots arising from the roots developed from the any part of the plant. Such root system is known as what we call as adventitious root system. Examples are which plants are there? Grass, banyan, monstera. So next one is root modification. So what is meant by root modification? In some plants, root is modified to perform new function suitable for the environment. It is called root modification. So what is meant by root modification? In some plants, root is modified to perform new function suitable for the environment. It is called root modification. Shall we discuss about? First one is root modification, types of root modification. First one is storage roots or tuberous roots or fleshy roots. So different types of root systems are there. First one is what we call as storage roots or tuberous roots or fleshy roots. So what is meant by storage roots? The roots which store food materials are called storage roots. So food is stored in the roots. Such roots are called what we call as storage roots or tuberous roots or fleshy roots. In biennial plants, the taproot is modified into storage roots depending upon the shapes are there. First one is spindle shape. Second one is cone shape. Third one is top shape. So spindle shape is known as what we call as fusiform. Cone shape is conical. Top shape is napiform. So depending upon the shapes are there. Which shapes is there? Spindle shape, cone shape, top shape. Spindle shape is also known as what we call as fusiform. Cone shape is also known as what we call as conical shape. Top shape is also known as what we call as napiform. Spindle shape example is radish. Cone shape example is carrot. Top shape example is beetroot are there. So